Mobile, Alabama. Mobile, Alabama. I just wanted to say that first. I just wanted to talk a little bit about my city. Things that I noticed that we could change for the better without asking someone else to do it for us. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, here they go. They're always complaining. And I don't want to come off that way about Mobile, but Mobile certainly can do better for itself, especially Minority Mobile. Minority Mobile always waits for the town hall meeting before they want to be active or proactive. And by the time the town hall meeting is being held or the hours for the town hall meeting is being posted, it's already too late. It's already over with. And what I mean by that is by the time any of those folks have a town hall meeting, they have already had several meetings. They have already had the signing of paperwork. They have already had sponsorship, dinners, fundraisers, all kinds of different activities for whatever that is about to happen to you is about to happen. You're just coming to the town hall meeting. It's just a formality. It's just in order to make you feel like you're part of the process, but not quite actually making you a part of the process that matters. And I think that Minority Mobile especially, needs to stop being the town hall meeting angry and start being I see there's a need and we need to take action type of community. That's the type of community we need to start being. We are always, when it comes time for us to vote, then we are a priority. That's when we see people that are not from our community in our community asking questions, shaking hands, knocking on doors, campaigning, giving us hot dogs, sending Tucker to sing to us. And then after they get our vote, we don't see them anymore. And the funding that they were actually, campaigning for, they get it and then they spend it somewhere else. And in order for us to benefit from where they spent it, we have to get in our cars and drive halfway across Mobile. And at some point, we got to get tired of that. At some point, we have to be tired, just tired. I'm not gonna try to use no big words, and I'm not trying to use anything elaborate. I'm just gonna call it for what it is. The minority community, we are lazy. And the part of the minority community that is active, that is doing things for Mobile to help the areas that are becoming dilapidated or are becoming desolate or are becoming deserts when it comes to businesses and being upwardly mobile, we are really just not having a backbone enough to say, enough is enough. We need to start taking some action. It isn't until that town hall meeting before we get a voice or before we feel like we have a voice. And that is like the farthest thing from the truth. Because if we didn't have a voice, they wouldn't come to our churches during campaign season. They wouldn't come to our parks and our schools and our homes knocking on our doors during campaign season. We have a voice. We just don't use it until it's too late, till the town hall meeting. And if by the time we start speaking at the town hall meeting, it's already too late. They've already been in those boardrooms making decisions. They have already done those fundraisers to raise money for whatever it is they're about to do. They've already done or talked to or gotten permits or did everything that way that was needed in order to get to where they needed to be. The town hall meeting to talk to us is only a formality. It's only so we cannot say they never came and talked to us or told us anything. And we have to stop waiting till the town hall meeting before we speak up. And then we also have to not only speak up, but we have to start acting up. We have to start saying, okay, what do we need to do? Who do we need to talk to in our community? So we can start getting the ball moving in a positive manner. So we can start seeing the fruits of our taxes, the fruits of our labor. We have to start supporting these people in our communities that are trying to educate our children, that are trying to keep our homes and our properties safe. What are we going to do to forward that mission? What are we going to do to multiply exponentially what they're trying to do? How are we going to open our parks back up? How are we going to open our schools back up? How are we going to stop money being funneled out of our communities by other people back to their own communities and then bouncing that money around their community sometimes 10, 20, 30 times, and a dollar doesn't bounce in our community not once? How are we going to stop letting them tucker and watermelon us out of our promise or the promises that they gave us on what they're going to do? We can't sit up here and blame other people for what is not going on. If you're tired of your property values going down, if you're tired of your houses being broken into, if you're tired of your kids being sent from school to juvie hall to prison, you have to start speaking up and doing things before the town hall meeting. And you have to stop saying, they didn't even do this, they didn't do that, because you weren't doing anything either. Why do you expect them to do something for you when they see you're not doing nothing for yourself? We're making ourselves a mark. We're making our communities easily transferable to other people. And what I mean by that is when they start a major renovation on your homes in your area and then stop, and then the next thing you find out they're doing something totally different that has nothing to do with upgrading where you live, that lets you know you weren't watching, you weren't paying attention. And sometimes you got to go to town hall meetings outside of where you live. Sometimes you got to ask, what are your options? What are your rights as a taxpayer before you can do this in my area? And what can I do to build my area where it doesn't include closing my schools or closing or tearing down businesses that could have housed some of us? How can we get business licenses? Or can we get a little information on how to do this, that, and the other? How do I open a business in my area? How do I gain the knowledge to keep this in my neighborhood or to bring this to my neighborhood? How do we flourish? How do we grow? How do we express our culture in our own neighborhoods? If your neighborhood doesn't breathe, it's gonna keep going down. It's gonna one day not exist. And a lot of y'all are like, my neighborhood breathe. Let me tell you what it means for a neighborhood to breathe. If whatever's inside of your home doesn't reflect outside of your home, then your neighborhood is not breathing. For example, if when you pay your taxes, none of your taxes goes to making sure your kids have a decent school, decent lunch, decent activities during the winter, summer, or whatever, that is it's not breathing. When you go to Airport Boulevard, Schillinger Road, up and down that area, you can go all in those areas. You see these beautiful churches. That's breathing. You see these beautiful buildings, new buildings, banks, whether they're credit unions. That's breathing. You see schools being updated or upgraded or brand new. That's breathing. You see businesses popping up everywhere. Chains. You see them wrapping around neighborhoods. That's breathing. You see movie theaters. You see utilities. That's breathing. That's your neighborhood breathing. That's what your labor that makes you money turns around in taxes, turns around in paid roads. That's breathing. But if all you're seeing is liquor stores, corner stores that sell liquor, gas stations that sell liquor, what else? Certain restaurants, but none of the people in those restaurants look like you. That's death. Dollar stores, that's death. What else? Bars, that's death. That's not anything that's gonna. Pawn shops, that's death. That's taken away from the home. If you're not seeing things in your, like right now in my neighborhood, there's a massage parlor, there's restaurants, there's banks, credit unions. I mean, and there are some pawn shops, but they're few and far in between. There's utilities. I can pretty much walk to anything from my house. Anything I need. I don't have to go that far. Police stations, hospitals. How far do you have to drive from your home to the hospital? That lets you know. Death. That's your neighborhood. So, you have to be wary of whether or not your neighborhoods are dying. And you shouldn't wait until the town hall meeting to express yourself. And start even taking action. You got people who have graduated from high school that could be helping those that haven't. Okay? You got people that are sitting in their homes looking at their phones all day trying to become internet famous. When you have community centers that are empty, when we could be teaching each other, we could be sharing education with one another, we could be having meetings of our own to start doing things in the community that benefit us. And sometimes we can use the resources that are already available to us, that are there anyway, you know? So I just think that Mobile is backwards in a lot of ways, but there's also a lot of good here in Mobile. A lot of you are going to church and paying tithes in a church, and you've been paying at the building fund since before y'all had mustaches and before weaves were around, and the building is still falling apart. You know, You've been paying tithes for so long, and you can't remember when your churches went outside of the building's walls and actually greeted the community and said, what can we work on together? We have a building. See this church building? We have a building. What can we do for the community so we can start building it up? There's a church almost on every corner in minority neighborhoods. Sometimes 2 or 3 on the same block. And don't nobody know the pastor's name unless it's written on the cornerstone on the building. Nobody in the neighborhood has seen him ever, laid eyes on him. But they van go way out of the neighborhood to bring people in to come to it. But people in the same area that can walk to it won't go to it. Because they never make themselves tangible. You know? Afraid. A lot of people, I might make a lot of people mad with that. But I don't care. I'm just telling the truth. But we have to start doing for ourselves, and we can do that. And if you don't know how, you're on Facebook, you're on the internet all day, every day. There's a Google search, Bing, all kinds of search engines. How can I help in my community that won't cost me any money? And get that party started. Now, I'm about to go back to what I was doing, because I can't stand a person that talk noise but ain't doing nothing. And I'm not one of those. So I'm going to go back to what I'm doing, which I am trying to work on something for the community I just spoke about. And it takes time, it takes preparation. And I will be asking for help from the community. Well, I have already been, it's been a little quiet. I haven't gotten much response. But I'm going to continue, and I'm going to push, and I'm going to make sure that I make myself available. But y'all look for me real soon. But I thank y'all for listening to me rambling. I've been up all night since yesterday morning. I've almost been up 24 hours. So I know this may have seen a little bit of a ramble, but I just wanted to get that off my chest about Mobile. And I really do think that we can do some great things, but we have to stop sitting on here waiting on somebody else to do it, waiting on a leader to tell us which direction to go. We all need to start doing little bitty projects of our own and make that little bit of a difference, because that little bit of difference in our community in different little spots sometimes comes together and becomes coalition. Sometimes comes together to be a collective, and it snowballs. But we have got to make our neighborhoods a living, breathing organism, because it's dying. It's already, I can say it's already dead. We just living in our houses and giving our money to other folks. That's all we're doing. And we got to do better by ourselves. But yes, that's me and Kim. I'm going to use this last bit of little energy, try to finish this little piece of budget I'm trying to put together. I'm going to take it to the bed. I thank y'all for listening to me, and y'all have a good day.